Hey friends, and welcome back to a new video. For those of you that have been following my channel for some time, know that I've been pursuing minimalism for a few years now, from living in a tiny small micro apartment with my boyfriend to then doing this no buying clothes challenge where I didn't buy any clothes for almost 2 years. I really love minimalism and all the benefits that come along with it, but it would be a lie to say that it's always smooth sailing 100% of the time and that it's always been easy. There definitely have been some moments I noticed where I do find myself wishing, even just for a second, that I didn't do minimalism or pursue minimalism. But then on the flip side, of course, I also have moments where I'm especially glad that I am a minimalist and am pursuing minimalism. And today I just wanted to show you those two sides of the spectrum when I am extra glad that I am pursuing minimalism and when for a moment I do just wish that I wasn't going down this path of minimalism. So let's start with the moments where I'm really happy that I am a minimalist. And number one would be when moving. So I've moved about 3 times in the past 3 years, and each move, of course, no matter what, is always really difficult and stressful and time-consuming, also financially a burden. I've also moved so many times in my childhood, and while a move is always stressful, I would say, having less stuff also just means you have less to move, less to pack, less to unpack, less to carry, and it just shortens the whole process of moving. Everything is faster. You also have less to organize, and you don't have to rent as big of a van since you have less stuff that you need to transport. Our last move into this current apartment that we live in, we're able to do just the two of us, so my boyfriend and I, well, partly because we have so little stuff. And when we moved to Italy for about 3 months, we also just went with a suitcase and a backpack, and that just made the whole process so much simpler, faster, easier. Another moment where I am super glad that I have pursued minimalism is when I'm trying to find stuff. So a few weeks ago, I had kind of misplaced or lost some of my jewelry, and I was quite frantic trying to look for it and to find it. Luckily, our home is so small and we have so little stuff and so little places where it could be that it took me only about 15 minutes to search all of those places really thoroughly. And I know that I have these 5 areas where the thing could be, and if I've looked in those places, then I know it has to be somewhere else. So I just have so much of a better overview of my stuff and just makes finding things a lot easier. Another moment when I'm really happy that I am a minimalist is when it comes to cleaning. So I am someone that really does not like to clean. I like a clean space, but I'm not a huge fan of the process of cleaning. And while I know that it is necessary, I just want to make the process as easy and less painful as possible, and that's where minimalism really helps. So when you have less stuff, obviously you have less stuff and less surfaces to clean, but then also you have more space to clean. You're not spending so much time shuffling around stuff to get in the corners or to wipe surfaces. You don't have to first get everything down and then be able to wipe. And the whole process is just simpler and faster. Another moment where I'm a big fan of minimalism is when it comes to budgeting, or when I'm on a budget. A big benefit and plus of minimalism is that you just save so much money since you're not buying all this stuff. And especially now, for example, that the economy isn't great and there's this huge inflation going on. Of course, minimalism will not completely shield you from inflation. I think no one can really completely shield themselves from it. Minimalism does really soften the impact, since you're most affected by it when you buy stuff, and the less you buy, the less you are affected by inflation. And in general, I just don't have to worry too much about spending too much money, since the whole mindset behind minimalism is only having and bringing things into your life that truly bring you value, and as a consequence of that, you are bringing in so much less stuff, since most of the things that we have are just unnecessary fluff. And when you're buying less stuff, you're spending less money, and you're less affected by inflation. And financially, minimalism is just a big, big plus. And I'm so glad I don't have to worry about me spending too much money. Now I want to move on to the moments where I do kind of think to myself, well, wouldn't it be convenient if I wasn't a minimalist just for a second? So the number one scenario where that comes into play is when I'm scrolling on social media or browsing in stores and I'm seeing really cute things, whether it's clothes or decor or whatever it may be, or see this really fun trend and think to myself, how fun would it be to try that out or to have that really cute or beautiful thing? And while it might not seem like harm to indulge in those things once in a while, deep down I already know that this item or buying this thing or indulging in this thing won't make me happy. Definitely not in the long run. It will be a very temporary and short-term excitement. It is essentially just a craving that I'm tempted to give into, and if I do, I will just be accumulating more and more stuff and spending more and more money, which is good for the economy but isn't good for the environment. And I'll just have more stuff to deal with in my home and have more clutter and need more storage and need a bigger home, and it's just a devil's loop that goes on and on. In the moment, the item really tricks us into thinking that owning this will make us happier or more likable or more successful in some way, but it is all just part of the illusion of consumerism that us as minimalists, we know we don't want to buy into. Another scenario where I'm really tempted to just throw minimalism out the window is when I'm thrifting. When I'm buying new things, I have this really convincing factor of this: if I buy this new, it is harmful to the environment and I don't want to partake in that. But when thrifting, that factor kind of falls away and I'm so much more tempted to buy things, especially because thrifting has also the aspect of exclusivity and also this time pressure, since if you want to thrift something, there's most likely just one of those items, and if you don't snatch it, someone else might, and there's just so much more pressure and things feel so much more like treasures when you do find them. And I really have to reel myself in and check myself and check my temptations and my cravings. But no matter if I'm buying old or new, it is still consumption. It is still part of consumerism, and minimalism isn't only about buying sustainably, it is about being super intentional with what you bring into your life, and that goes for thrifted items, that goes also for new items. It doesn't really matter. It is this false belief that this item will make me happier in some form, and that is not true. Generally, or mostly, the moments where I'm really tempted to, or where I wish I wasn't pursuing consumerism, are the moments where I'm tempted by consumerism, where the inner voice of, well, it's just one item, or you're going to love this for decades to come, and just that inner voice of consumerism that sometimes pops up that as minimalists we battle against. Those are the moments where I feel that weakness trying to cave in to that consumerism. And yes, maybe trying out that trend will have me really excited for a few days or a few weeks. Let's be honest, a lot of trends are really fun to take part of, but in the long run, a few years later, I will most likely have forgotten all about this trend or the situation. And while yes, it might seem like it's not doing much harm partaking in this trend, be sure to do so very, very consciously. Think about the money that you're trading in to partake in this trend. Think about the time that the money in essence represents, since you are trading in your time for money by working. Think about the environment you're trading in, and think about the opportunity cost. So what could you have done with the money instead, or with the time instead, that might have made you a lot more fulfilled, or might have been more fun and made you more happy. So for example, maybe you could have saved up that extra time and money for a little trip or a little get together with friends. With minimalism, it's not about never buying anything or withholding a lot of things. It's about partaking in things very consciously, and most often when we're honest with ourselves, most things are not worth the time or money. It might seem very tempting in the moment, but deep down, somewhere along the line, we know that it is not worth it. We could be spending our time or money better. And last but not least, a scenario where I sometimes wish I wasn't a minimalist is when decluttering. Now, this might surprise a lot of you, but I do like it when I have less stuff, and I'm always on the road to own less. But I really don't like the process of decluttering. To me, it's quite stressful, and it's very energy consuming and time consuming. I just want to get it over with, and it's just not fun. I know a lot of people enjoy decluttering, and I do understand it's satisfying to see kind of the amount of stuff that you're able to get rid of, but for me personally, I do not like the process of decluttering, and each time I dive into another declutter, I just wish I wouldn't have done so, or I wish that I wasn't a minimalist, that I wasn't on this path to less, because I dread the decluttering process. But nonetheless, I still do it, and it is important to declutter regularly, since we do unconsciously or subconsciously accumulate more and more stuff. Even if we try really hard not to buy more stuff, for some reason we just tend to have more stuff, maybe a little more slowly, but we do tend to accumulate more stuff. So I hope you found this video entertaining. Maybe you could relate to some of these. Let me know down below if you have moments of weakness when you just want to throw minimalism out the window. Of course, don't do that. Minimalism in general has so many benefits that I already made a video about, and has just enriched my life so much and changed my life so much for the better. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and give it a thumbs up if you like this video and want to continue to support me and see more videos of mine. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.